Hey guys, how are you? Wendy Kim here of Your Dream Realized Coaching, business and financial coaching, helping people escape the cube so they can turn their passion into the business and life of their dreams. So, one of the things that I've been dealing with lately has been fear. I feel like I've really been challenged to face my fears. Hey Nate, how's it going? And I wanted to talk to you about three things that scare the shit out of me. And yeah, there are definitely quite a few fears that I have, and I wanted to talk to you about them because I want people to know that it's normal to be afraid of things, but that you don't actually have to be overcome by your fears. So, one of the things that scares the bleep out of me is dealing with conflict. I've grown up very much avoiding conflict as much as possible, not saying things that I really should say because I just don't want to get into a conflict. So recently, if you guys have heard of this, I highly recommend it as a Christmas present, and it's called the 5 Minute Journal. And it's basically for people like me who can't find the time to journal, but want to journal because they think it's a great idea. So, anyways, one of the weekly challenges was to call a friend whom you haven't spoken to in a while. And so I talked to so I wrote down my friend and I was like, okay, I'll call her. And then, of course, through the course of the week, I'm like, I'm not going to call this friend because there had been an issue. I had felt resentment. I had felt bitterness. At one time, we had been super close and our friendship had drifted away. And so I kind of told myself, I was like, you know what, I should really talk to her about this, but I haven't talked to her in a long time, and this is going to be awkward. And so I was really scared to talk to her. But I was like, you know what, and this is my motto these days, when I feel scared to do something, I just do it because I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to live a slave to my fears because, as we all know, fears will always be there. They won't go away. But when you actually do what you're afraid of, then you don't feel so scared in your life, and other things don't seem so difficult. So, anyways, I finally call her, and it was awkward because we haven't talked in probably at least a year. I was just kind of making small talk for a little bit, and then I just told her. I told her how I was sorry because I had felt bitterness and resentment toward her, and but I had never told her that, and I had never talked to her about it, and I had just let myself feel bitter and angry about the friendship. And so every time I'd see her picture on Facebook, or every time I'd see old pictures, I would have this really yucky feeling. But it wasn't like I blamed her, but I took responsibility for how I hadn't communicated with her and I hadn't been honest with her. And I have to tell you, this was one of the most amazing conversations I've had. She appreciated that I had talked to her. She was able to open up about some things going on in her life at the time when our friendship kind of fizzled out. And it was exciting because now I feel like we have reestablished our connection. I'm not going to say that, or I don't have the expectation that we'll be best friends forever, but I'm excited because now I can have a friendship with her with no bitterness and resentment attached to it. So that was one thing that really scared the bleep out of me. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you about that really scared the bleep out of me was actually a past fear that I had. And that was when I made the decision to leave my corporate job of 15 years. And I took a lot of comfort in my corporate job. I liked the paycheck, the consistent paycheck. I liked being able to work for a company that had a good reputation, because when I would tell people the name of my company, they'd be like, "Ooh, that's cool. You work for the PlayStation or whatever." And so I liked certain things, external things about working for a corporation, but honestly, the day to day was just, it was the rat race. It was just a boring routine where every day I was kind of doing the same thing, having the same meetings, looking at the same documents, and talking to the same people. And I felt like my soul was literally being sucked out of me. But I was really scared to leave the security of that. I had never started a business. I had no idea what that looked like. Did I really have what it would take to start a business? But I think the thing that I ended up thinking is, okay, I can live in fear and I can continue to keep doing what I've been doing for the past 15 years for the next, 20, 25, 30 years until I retire. Or I can acknowledge my fear and try to do something that scares me and actually have every day be totally different and have excitement in my life. And obviously I chose the latter because and I also knew I could always go back to just the status quo. And needless to say, I am so happy that I'm not locked in that cube anymore. And so that was the second fear. The third fear that I have is putting myself out there. And you're probably like, what? You're doing all these videos. How can you fear that? Yeah, like I do feel scared at times. I feel nervous before I take a video. I feel scared when I'm going to speak in front of an audience. Yesterday actually, I was going to this networking event and I was sitting in the car and I was like, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to put myself out there. I'm afraid to talk to these people. Typically, that's not the case. Typically, I actually kind of enjoy networking events. But in that particular situation, I felt fearful. And that's the thing about fear. It's a feeling. It's something that comes and goes, but it's not something that we need to live by. And actually, it's funny, like I mentioned this earlier, but really my motto nowadays is when something scares me, I just need to do it so that I know I can. And yesterday I had a meeting with my business coach and she was setting the bar high. She's like, I think you need to do this. I think you need to do that. She was challenging me to take it higher in my business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid. And then I was just like, okay, because I'm afraid, I'm just going to do it. And so that would be my encouragement to you guys. Like, what is that thing that you're afraid to do? Because every time I've been afraid to do something but have done it anyway, I've always felt like, oh, that wasn't that bad. It wasn't that big of a deal. And every time I've ruminated and given into my fears and not done what I was afraid of, it ended up mushrooming and becoming way bigger than the reality. So yeah, what is your fear? What is that fear that you're thinking of right now? And when are you going to actually face that fear? And I would love to hear your stories. your fears, if we can just be more comfortable with our fears and live into our fears, we can have an amazing life. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Love ya. Bye.